If you're shopping for a middleweight naked twin in 2026, you're probably torn between two legends, Kawasaki Z650 and Yamaha's MT-07. Today, we'll compare power and handling, tech and comfort, real-world costs, and who each bike actually suits. By the end, you'll know exactly which one is right for you. For 2026, the Kawasaki Z650 keeps the proven formula with fresh colors in some markets and the same core recipe. A 649cc parallel twin, KTRC traction control, LED lighting, and a color TFT with smartphone connectivity. It's a familiar, friendly package that favors approachability over constant reinvention. Yamaha's MT-07, meanwhile, carries forward the big updates introduced for 2025. You're getting a stiffer chassis, 41mm inverted KYB forks, radially mounted 4-piston front calipers, lightweight spin-forged wheels, ride-by-wire with riding modes and traction control, plus a 5-inch TFT with phone connectivity and navigation support in certain regions. Let's talk engines. The Z650's 649cc twin is famed for smooth delivery and a friendly mid-range. In Euro trim, it's about 68 PS at 8,000 RPM and 64 Nm at 6,700 RPM. In the US, you'll typically see roughly 67 horsepower and 48.5 pound-feet quoted by dealers. Translation: tractable torque, easy roll-ons, and a super linear feel that doesn't punish mistakes. The MT-07 689cc CP2 twin hits harder. Expect roughly 72-73 horsepower and about 67 Nm in Euro figures, with that signature crossplane style pulse. In the real world, it gives you quicker overtakes, stronger mid-range shove, and a livelier feel when you crack the throttle out of tight corners. Weights and geometry shape the ride. The Z650 ABS comes in around 414 pounds wet in the US, or about 188 kilos in Europe, with a 55.5-inch wheelbase. It feels planted and predictable with neutral steering that flatters newer riders. The MT-07 is lighter, about 403 pounds wet, and a touch shorter at 54.9 inches of wheelbase. Coupled with that torquey CP2, the Yamaha flicks into bends more eagerly and pops out of corners with more urgency. The chassis stiffening introduced for 2025 sharpened feedback without making the bike harsh. Suspension and brakes are a clear separator. The Z650 runs a 41mm conventional fork and dual 300mm front discs with 2-piston calipers. It's tuned for real roads, comfortable, confidence-inspiring, and fuss-free. The MT-07 ups the game with a 41mm USD fork and radially mounted 4-piston calipers on twinned 298mm discs. On bumpy back roads and hard braking, the Yamaha's front end stays flatter, offers more feel, and serves up stronger, more progressive stopping power. If you ride hard or plan track days, this matters. Electronics and cockpit tech tell two different stories. The Z650 keeps it simple: ABS, 2-mode KTRC traction control, and a clear color TFT that pairs with Kawasaki's app for the essentials. The MT-07 layers on ride-by-wire, Yamaha ride control modes, switchable traction control, and that 5-inch connected TFT. In supported regions, you get on-screen navigation too. If your market gets YAMT, that semi-automatic option is a unique perk for mixed city touring and stop-go commutes. Ergonomics are close. The Z650 seat is about 31.1 inches in Europe. The MT-07 is roughly 31.7 inches. The Kawasaki's cockpit feels a touch narrower and lower. The Yamaha's bar and tank shape put you in a slightly more assertive stance. For passengers, recent Z650 model years quietly improved pillion padding, while the MT-07's chassis updates keep the bike composed with luggage or a passenger. Either way, long highway stints benefit from a fly screen or touring screen.
Fuel economy is strong on both. Official EU figures put the Z650 around 4.4 liters per 100 kilometers, about 53 to 54 mpg US, with many riders reporting low 50s when they don't baby it. With a 4.0-gallon tank, relaxed riding nets roughly 200 miles between stops. Yamaha quotes about 57 mpg US for the MT-07. Despite a smaller 3.7-gallon tank, range often lands in a similar 190 to 210-mile window depending on pace. Day-to-day features you'll notice: the Z650's assistant slipper clutch keeps lever effort light and downshifts tidy. Its gearing and friendly torque make threading through traffic easy, and the TFT remains legible in bright sun. For the MT-07, the updated switchgear and TFT bring welcome modernity. Phone pairing for notifications and, in some regions, on-screen nav is genuinely useful. Yamaha also tuned the intake for a richer induction growl at the rider, so the bike feels more alive without needing a loud exhaust. Pricing will vary by market and dealer, but here's the gist. In the US, the Z650 typically undercuts the MT-07 by a meaningful margin, with recent Z650 MSRPs around the mid-$7,000 depending on ABS, and MT-07s starting in the high $8,000. In the UK, the Z650 usually lands in the low 7,000 pounds, while the MT-07 tends to sit a few hundred pounds higher. That gap reflects the Yamaha's upgraded suspension, brakes, electronics, and cockpit. Let's map that to real riding. In city commuting, the Z650 is a sweetheart. Low effort at low speeds, predictable throttle response, and suspension that soaks up imperfect pavement. If your miles are mostly urban with the occasional weekend rip, the Kawasaki's calmer demeanor and slightly lower seat make it welcoming for newer riders or anyone who wants an easygoing everyday machine. On twisty back roads, the MT-07 pulls ahead. The inverted fork, radial brakes, and lighter feel deliver more confidence on the brakes and more feedback at lean. Add the CP2's mid-range punch, and it's simply the more rewarding bike to hustle, especially if you like late braking and quick direction changes. On highways and with a passenger, neither bike gives you wind protection out of the box, so plan a screen for longer trips. The Z650's improved pillion pad is a nice touch, and the MT-07's stiffer chassis helps when loaded. If touring is a frequent plan, consider comfort seats and small luggage systems. Both platforms have strong aftermarket support. Maintenance, reliability, and mods are straightforward. Both engines are well proven, easy to live with, and supported by deep parts networks. The MT-07 CP2 has a cult following thanks to durability and character, and it commands a huge aftermarket. Exhausts, fork kits, shocks, rear sets, seats, you name it. The Z650's tuning community is also robust, and Kawasaki parts pricing is generally friendly. Resale on the Yamaha tends to be especially strong because demand rarely fades. Here are the key numbers in one quick pass. Engine: Z650 650cc, MT-07 689cc. Output: Z650 roughly 68 PS and 64 Nm in EU tune, about 67 horsepower and 48.5 pound-feet as commonly quoted in the US. MT-07 roughly low 70s horsepower and about 67 Nm. Weight: Z650 around 414.5 pounds US ABS or 188 kilos EU. MT-07 about 403 pounds. Wheelbase: Z650 55.5 inches, MT-07 54.9. Brakes and suspension: Z650's 41mm conventional fork and twin 300mm discs with 2 piston calipers versus the MT-07's 41mm USD fork and radial 4-piston calipers on twin 298mm discs. Electronics: Z650 with ABS, 2-mode KTRC, and TFT with app connectivity. MT-07 with ride-by-wire, riding modes, TCS, a 5-inch connected TFT with navigation in some regions, and optional YAMT where offered. Fuel and range: Z650's 4-gallon tank and about mid-50s mpg, MT-07's 3.7-gallon tank and acclaimed high 50s mpg. Typical pricing: Z650 is the budget leader, MT-07 as the pricier but more feature-rich option. So, who should buy what? Choose the Kawasaki Z650 if you want an approachable, budget-friendly naked that's easy to ride every day, with enough safety tech to help, but not so much that it complicates the experience. It's ideal for first big bike owners, city commuters, and riders who value friendly ergonomics and predictable manners over ultimate pace. Pick the MT-07 if you want a sharper backroad tool without giving up daily usability. The updated suspension and brakes, extra torque, and richer electronics package make it the more engaging performer. If your market offers YAMT, that's a bonus for commuters and riders who like the idea of clutch-free shifts. Bottom line, the Z650 remains the value champ. Calm, capable, and confidence-inspiring right out of the box. The MT-07 feels like the class benchmark again, sharper in the twisties, better equipped, and more future-proof. If your budget stretches, the Yamaha is the enthusiast pick. If you want maximum bang for buck and a friendly everyday ride, Kawasaki delivers. That's the 2026 Middleweight Naked Showdown. Which one are you leaning towards? Z650 simplicity or MT-07 spice? Drop your choice below and tell us how you'd build it.